What is up, good people? Welcome back to my channel. And as always, we're going to talk a little music. Something I've been listening to, something I've been digging for the week. Now, today we're going to talk about Samantha Fish and her new album, Faster. So let's get into it. Alright, Samantha Fish. Some of you may be saying, who is Samantha Fish? Well, she is a singer, songwriter, guitar slinger from Kansas City. I discovered her a few years ago because I saw a video of her playing a cigar box guitar, which we'll get into in just a minute. And the band that I was in at that time, that was kind of one of our things that we did. And so I kind of dug into it. Now, the album we're going to talk about today is Faster. It's a new album from her. It was released September 10th, 2021. 12 songs at a runtime of 43 minutes. Now, Samantha Fish. Like I said, I read that she was from Kansas City. She's been on the road for years and years. But the thing that strikes me about her is people want to pigeonhole her as a blues kind of blues guitar player, which she can play blues. If you haven't heard this girl play, or this artist play, I should say, she can play, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that some of her influence is the Stones, Tom Petty, things of that nature. I hear some Bonnie Raitt. I hear a little Stevie Ray. Who's not influenced by that? But I hate when people try to pigeonhole artists and just say that they're one thing. And I really like this album, Faster, from her, because it shows a broad range of influences. So let's talk her gear for a minute, because that's what we do, right? We dig into what the artist is using and kind of how they get their sound. Just from, I've never seen her live. I know she's coming around my town here soon, so maybe I'll be able to catch her. But from what I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard, she uses Gibson guitars. I know she has a white Gibson SG that I think is her main go-to at times. And who doesn't love a good Gibson SG? I've got one that I've lugged around the South for years and years that has held up to everything I've put it through. So they're good guitars. On her album cover, she's holding a Gibson Firebird. You'll know the album when you see it because she's kind of licking the Firebird. I don't know, never licked one. Maybe they taste good, I don't know. But it's funny, it's cool, whatever. So Gibson Firebird there. She does play the cigar box guitar on a few songs in her live set. And if you haven't ever heard a cigar box guitar, it's a very distinctive sound. But it's, the roots of blues music come from that. So it's kind of cool to see an artist take it and do it. Some guys that come to mind is her, Luther Dickinson from North Mississippi All-Stars, Black Crowes, and whatever he's involved with. He does it. Richard Johnston out of Memphis does it. Ben Prestige out of Florida. So yeah, Shane Spiel. There's a bunch of guys out there that rock the cigar box thing. If you haven't got into cigar box music, you need to do that. Pedal wise, from what I've seen, her setup is very minimal. On this album, I hear an octave pedal, probably a Pog or something similar, maybe a Boss OC2. I'm not sure, but I think it's a Pog. I'll post a picture of it so y'all understand what I'm talking about. I hear an overdrive. It's not I don't think she's a Klon user. A lot of people are. It doesn't sound like a full tone OCD. I think it's a blues driver. I've seen a rig rundown with her from Premier Guitar, and I think she had a blues driver on the pedal board, but it's been a couple years since I've watched that. But I do hear that kind of sound. Amplifier wise, I know that she uses Category 5s. Category 5s are boutique amps. They have kind of a Marshall basing, some of them. I'm not sure what particular model that she uses. I'll post a link to Category 5. You can dig into that. I dug into those a few years ago. Saw Government Mule. I don't know. I've seen them multiple times, but a few years ago I noticed that the bass player was running through a couple of Category 5s, and Warren had one that Matt Apps was using as a monitor. So that's what got me digging into Category 5. But I know at that time they were a smaller company and they were kind of Marshall based. They may have grown their tonality palette here the last few years, but yeah, so check those out. So let's get into this album. If you don't know, obviously if you don't know who she is, this is like her 11th album. I think she has 1 live album and then 10 studio. They have this classified as rock. I feel like that would be a good classification. I hate doing that, but I hear a lot of influences on this album. There is a track with Tech 9, which is cool. And the thing that I really like is she wasn't afraid to go into the studio and just use whatever was at her disposal. Sometimes when people get pigeonholed into that blues thing, it's like, okay, I got to go in and I got to have strictly keys and I got to have strictly bass and drums and I got to play this 12-bar thing. And look, blues it's an art form that is dying out. Traditional blues is dying out, but it's whatever you feel, right? It's just like any other music. And her as an artist, she's expressing her view of blues, rock, Americana, whatever you want to call it. So on this, I am glad that she stepped into the rock genre, the pop genre. I hear some drum beats, so it works, right? So it works. I like it. So as always, like we do, I'm going to give you my top 3 of this album. That if I was going to hand it to you, this is where we need to start. And again, it's just my feeling, right? So number 3, I would start out with Twisted Ambition. It's the number 3 track on the album, and it runs 3 minutes and 14 seconds. What I really like about this is just the tempo of the song, the way the lyric is delivered, and the guitar tone that she uses. I can hear the octave in it, which is cool. I'm a fan of that octave if it's not overused. I think some people have the tendency where they won't click their pedals off. And people, if you play guitar, turn them off sometimes, right? You don't need them on 100% of the time unless you're Robin Trower. Robin Trower gets a pass, which is a completely different topic. We can talk about that later. But Twisted Ambition, I think, is, if I was going to hand this to you, this would be my number 3 off the album. It just, the grinding guitar at the beginning, the octave in the solo, her delivery of the lyric, I just really enjoy it. I think it's a great track. Let's see. Number 2, I'm going to have to go with Imaginary War. Now, Imaginary War is the 7th cut off the album, and it runs a track time of 3 minutes and 9 seconds. This starts out with a cleaner guitar tone, and when they establish the groove, as you may be able to hear in the background over me just rambling, talking about whatever, it's not your full bore, straightforward, tempo. I like that it's got that kind of walking. It makes your head bob. I mean, it's going to naturally get you to it. And the way she delivers the melody along with the bass drum, I like it. I like tracks that do that. The organ in this is great too. It kind of helps carry what the melodic thing that she's doing with her voice. So yeah, Imaginary War would be my number 2 out of it. Like I said, 7th track on the album. So number 1 off the album. This was kind of tough for me because there's a lot of cuts on here that I really enjoyed, which is something that I say all the time. When you get into an artist, please listen to their whole album. They put this, they put these songs together for a reason. Unless you're listening to some top 40 country bullshit where they get fed songs and an A&R guy tells them this is a hit and you have to wear this and sound like this and look like this. This ain't what we're talking about. This is an artist that put together their feelings, their influences. So that's why I like digging into things like this. So off of that, for me, the number 1 song on the album that I would say, hey, this is my top jam off the album, is All Ice, No Whiskey, right? And the reason I say that is when it starts out, the guitar part in it, to me, is like a R.L. Burnside, Mississippi Fred McDonald kind of walking, bouncing guitar. And then she comes in with the vocal. I just like the flow of the song. I like how it's got that blues, like hill country influence, but it sounds like a modern kind of song, and then with a rock chorus in it. I like when artists do that. I like when they tip their hat to their influences, but they don't just drown themselves in it. That's part of playing music, right? You take what the people before us gave us, and we advance it forward for the next generation, right? And so yeah. So Samantha Fish. If you haven't heard Samantha Fish, you're missing out. You're missing out on a great artist. She can sing. Her voice is great. She plays guitar like crazy. Talented artist. So yeah, dig into this. Give it a listen. Dig into her back catalog. I've said this before. Is this something where I would say you could start here? Yeah, this is pretty representative of what she's got going on currently. Some of her earlier albums have a more bluesy influence to it, but I like this because it touches on everything that I've heard her do in the past, and it's kind of moving forward with the rock thing. I like it. On my jam scale that we throw down all the time, 1 to 5, I give this a 4. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy it when I was driving around the house, and I recommend it. If you bumped into me and said, hey, what are you jamming currently, I'm going to tell you, yeah, I've been jamming some Samantha Fish, and you check her new album. So yeah, if you get a chance, she's coming around your city, go see her. Let's get out and see some music, folks. I know she's kind of, like I said, she's coming around. I might try to catch that show. But yeah, get out, see some music, support artists like this, because without music and without live music, the world is just a dull place, right? So be safe, and remember that music is love, and love is music.